Good morning, everybody. How are we all doing? Sam here, United People's TV. Is it 10:03? Is it 10:04? It depends what your clock is saying. My clock's actually now saying 10:04, but it was 10:03 when I pressed live. It just takes a little bit of time to go live. Look, we will be speaking about, funnily enough, the takeover. There's not much to speak about. We're hearing it's the end game. Where's the end? Where is the end? It feels like a game now that the Glazers are playing. A dirty, dirty game. And Manchester United is the prize. We're going to speak about that, of course. We're going to be speaking about Harry Kane scoring in front of the Stretford end from a Luke Shaw assist as the home player yesterday. I was like, football gods were not very nice to us there. We'll speak about that. Marcus Rashford and the new contract. That was big news yesterday from Fabrizio Romano. We'll run through those. There's speculation around the numbers of this and the size of the contract. I'm not going to be doing that at this point in time. I want more clarity on that before anybody gets offended how much Marcus Rashford might be earning. But we'll speak about that. We'll speak about Rasmus Hojlund and Atalanta's price tag, Victor Osimhen and Napoli, Adrien Rabiot, Dean Henderson, David De Gea, Andre Onana, Diogo Costa. There's so many talking points constantly. It's 24/7 Manchester United, and it's only going to get even louder and busier once the takeover finally is announced. But let me see who's down here in the comments to join for the live show. Mate, when you do the Monday shows, because I haven't done lives on a Saturday or Sunday, I'm always like, do we need to do a show every day? And then when I don't do a show for a couple of days, I'm like, my word, there are so many things to try and catch up on. Look at these bad boys up here, by the way. Maybe they are bad boys. No. Erik Ten Hag. All power to Erik Ten Hag. It's the latest print from the great Stan Chow. The latest cover of the United We Stand Summer Edition. Should be getting my copy in the post soon. Big up to you, Andy, for sending that across. But I love that. The great, and maybe he could be great for Manchester United in the future. I do. I can see people starting to get concerned about Erik Ten Hag's future at the club. I think it's premature, but I can understand some reservations. Let me see who's down there in the comments. Black Chicken Nugget. Cool name. How you doing, buddy, down there? Bully, you're there. Nima, Stu, Stefan, Mo Salad. Carl, you're there. Stuart Davis, Hassan. We've got Jonathan Alden, Jasper Michael. Got it, Redman. Yeah, Julie, you're there. Josh, you're there as always. Stephanie, and I'm sure there's plenty more regulars. Linton, who's on Facebook? I look a bit like Dean Henderson. I've had Dean Henderson. I've had Darren Fletcher. I've had plenty of them. Mainly Darren Fletcher, I think, more than Dean Henderson. I want to start the show here with this. You remember yesterday I spoke about Saudi Arabia and what seems like an absolute mega drive. Ian, you're saying Mbappe's on the linked list twice. People love... Where is he? He's up there. Where is he? Did it see you? You completely distracted me now. Now I'm staring at the board. I see him once there. Oh, he's over there as well. People love to point out things that you get wrong. I've always found that in life. I know, Ian, you're trying to help, but then it's just got distracted wiping the thing off for a minute now with Kylian Mbappe's name. It doesn't really matter, does it? Anyway, let's go back to what I was trying to talk about here. Saudi Arabia. I spoke about it yesterday, and I said it is dangerous for football. We've let the Wolves in the door with Abramovich back in 2003, with Abu Dhabi in 2008, with the Public Investment Fund, with Newcastle. And now, this. So we've seen Ruben Neves is going to Saudi Arabia. We've seen that Chelsea are basically using Saudi Arabia as a get-out-of-jail-free card when it comes to FFP. And we had that conversation yesterday, and then this article came out yesterday evening. European rivals of Chelsea and Wolves are calling for an inquiry into the Saudi Arabian spending fee spree, which absolutely should be the case. You look at Chelsea, and was it Mendy's going to Saudi Arabia? Kante's already gone. Ziyech, I think, is on the way out there. And Koulibaly as well. And they tried to get Lukaku. Apparently, Todd Boehly met with, he went out in Saudi Arabia last week, and they had a conversation about putting a package together for like 5 players for 100 million. it is another way of bending the rules. Chelsea did that with their 8-year contracts to get around FFP. And that's what football clubs do. They don't look at rules and go, okay, we can't do that. They go, right, I'm employing you as a lawyer. Find me a way to get around that get me a loophole to get around that law. And there'll be so many people going, well, if they're not breaking the rules, what are they doing wrong? Even though you know full well that they're just trying to their hardest to bend that. This is what we've invited into the Premier League, and it's only going to get worse and worse and worse. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news and be the moany old man, but I do not like the way that football has gone. Even to the point where I did that video and I was like, when you weigh everything up, I was leaning more towards the Qatari bid being better for Manchester United. And that's just like partly where I've just sort of been entrenched into. Ahmad saying bending is not breaking. Okie dokie, mate. Right, yeah. If you want to go down that sort of route, then brilliant. This is the way that football has gone. It's only going to get worse. And no doubt this is going to be something that gets blocked at some point soon as well. Saudi Arabia finding a backdoor way into Chelsea and investing in Chelsea through the Clear Lake relationship that they've got. Here we go. Brilliant. Can't wait for it. Football's great. Yay. No, it's terrible. And this is the way it's gone. As I said, I hate to be a moany old man this morning, but I suppose I am. Let's talk about the takeover and the latest murmurs and the latest kind of whispers that you're hearing around the takeover. Ferocious saying rules are made to be broken. I mean, I was a bit of an arsehole I wasn't the nicest teenager, but I grew out of it, right? I'm peaking as a human being, I think, now. So that was probably something I would agree with when I was younger. But look, correct me if I'm wrong. If anybody's watching from America, you are up early doors. But if I'm correct, then yesterday was a bank holiday in America, Juneteenth. So I think it's now become a federal holiday. I was doing some research on it. I think it's become a federal holiday to commemorate the abolition of slavery, I believe. And that was June 19th. That was yesterday. I might be wrong, but in my head, I'm thinking, right, okay, well, that's why there was no updates from the takeover situation yesterday. So maybe we're going to be getting updates today. I don't know. But yeah, apparently it was the Juneteenth bank holiday. So maybe that's why nothing happened yesterday. Maybe that is why it was a quiet day on Monday. And maybe that's why today will be the day. Today will be the day. Was it yesterday? Was it the week before? No one knows, right? Nobody knows. Now, you remember that I went through this and I discussed this yesterday on the live stream. It was from Sean Ingle from The Guardian talking about the slow torture of this takeover and how painful it has been for Manchester United fans. And part of that article here was the suggestion there that both publicly and privately, it was Sheikh Jassim's bid, which has slipped ahead. And we know what happened last month. Last week was mad, wasn't it? I think it was at two separate occasions where the share price spiked somewhere between 10 and 15% in the space of a day. Once with the Al Watan situation and story that got published, and then Reuters on the second time when they came out and said that the exclusivity talks were being started. They were the two times where last week the share price rocketed up like 10, 15%. Of course, the share price will not be affected at all. Well, it will be affected, sorry. It won't be affected positively if Jim Ratcliffe's bid is successful. And the reason for that is because Jim Ratcliffe is not buying any of those shares. Jim Ratcliffe is only intending on buying the Glazers. Well, either 100% of the Glazers shares or 50%. No one knows the exact percentage that Jim Ratcliffe's bid would be buying from the Glazers, but it certainly wouldn't be buying the publicly listed shares. That's only Sheikh Jassim's. As I said, that look, hearing publicly and privately that Sheikh Jassim is leading the way, and everything last week certainly pointed towards that. Gary Neville was on the BBC this morning speaking about the actual situation itself, and there's no other way you can describe it now as apart from embarrassing. It's what they have done. Drag everything out, always in their best interests. Fans not being updated by owners on ownership sale is not good enough, but fitting with how they've run the club for the last 20 years. And that's the one thing I've kind of maintained. This is so absolutely peak. This is peak Glazers, isn't it? Peak Glazers. It's kind of what you all expected, feared, hoped wouldn't happen. And it's happened. It is totally happened. Jonathan, you're going down and saying Shambles FC. Well, it's just the shambolic owners. It's just the utter self-interest, which I think every human has to a certain degree. You know, look after number one, right? But on the scale that the Glazers do it, when they're in charge of a public listed company of a football club that has millions upon millions upon millions of fans all around the world, and whose day-to-day lives are impacted and affected by it, you can't help it. If you're not have a crap result, geez, you're in a bad mood. It's yeah, it's crazy. And I wish that I could say that today, that Takeover Endgame, that the end is today. The truth of the matter is, we don't know when it's going to happen. I'll put a little bet out that it's going to happen at like around about 7 p.m. on Friday when I'm on a plane and I've got no signal. I guarantee you that is when they have it. Flash Fire Fletch, you're saying they have a responsibility, the Glazers. They do have a responsibility. And it's responsibilities that they've ignored as owners for nigh on 20 years. Every sort of responsibility of sort of keeping fans engaged, communicating with fans, investing in the club, actually having ambition to take the club forward. Every single one of those responsibilities they've just ignored and gone the opposite direction. Man United, under Fergie with the Glazers, won in spite of them. Somehow swimming against... Fergie was that good that he swam against it. Martin Lewis saying, Sam, can we have some good news? Look, there's some decent news to talk about in transfers. But again, because of this, right? Because of this takeover delay, I'm sure you're seeing it among United fans. I'm certainly seeing it among United fans. Everything seems to be of the extremes. Now there's people talking about Ten Hag. Or he might be leaving. That's the wrong one to bring up. Where is it? That's the wrong one to bring up. I'm losing my mind here. That's what happens when you have 149 tabs open. You can't bring the right one up. Where is it? No. There. Please. People are losing their mind. Not losing their mind, but the fear is starting to kick in now, right? Carlo Ancelotti at Real Madrid. The reason I'm saying that is the fear. He's been linked with that Brazil job for some time. And it may well be the case that in the next 18 months or so, Real Madrid and Bayern Munich will both be looking for a new manager. Now, we know full well that Erik Ten Hag spent time under Pep Guardiola at Bayern Munich. I think he was the reserves manager there. But Carlo Ancelotti leaving Real Madrid, none of this should be impacted in the long term, right? This summer is going to be totally affected by what's going on with the takeover. But I'd like to think that by the time the summer is finished, it's fine. We can move on from that. Erik Ten Hag has got the owners that he needs, and we can properly look forward and ahead. And I don't think Ten Hag will be looking elsewhere at that point. But Ten Hag must be pissed off right now. Let's run on. Let's talk. Let's run along. Let's talk through the transfer news. By the way, Ian, how did you possibly see that Mbappe was on that twice? You must have gone through that and gone, right, are there any names that are on there twice? Let me see if I can find one. How did you possibly find that? I mean, you were right. How did you do it? Anyway, I've got to fill a gap there. I can put in probably Jan Sommer. I think he was linked at some point. Anyway, this happened last night. And you were watching it going, really? I want to see that Stretford end, Luke Shaw swinging it in, Harry Kane bags a goal, and also an absolute ridiculous penalty down the other end. 7-0 England won last night. Rashford scored. Rashford was electric. I was just sitting there going, Jake, you're saying just teasing us at this point. That's exactly what it felt like, a proper tease. Absolute tease to see that, because I think we've all kind of accepted as United fans, even those that really, and I'm one of them now, hands up, I want Harry Kane. Earlier this summer, I was kind of on the fence when it came to Kane or Osimhen, and I didn't really know which one was best, but I'm just full Kane in now. Sucks. Anyway, he scored last night, and then this happened last night. And this is what I mean about United fans kind of losing the plot. Maybe not losing the plot, but everything is sort of exaggerated right now among United fans, and it's because everybody's on the edge due to this. So last night, about 10:30, David Ornstein breaking the news that Arsenal made an opening offer of 30 million for Jurrien Timber. Do you know what? The first thing I want to say about this, right? That's the wrong thing. God damn it. Too many tabs. Is this. I find it really funny. Last summer, so many United fans were like, what are we doing going after every Dutch player, going after every ex-Ajax player? This is terrible scouting. What are you doing now? United need to be better than this, X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. And I guarantee you, quite a few of those same people are now losing their mind over the fact that Arsenal might be making a move for Jurrien Timber. Oh, what's going on here? Arsenal going after Jurrien Timber. Why are United not in for that? It's perfect. It could be the right side. Blah, 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 blah. It's simply because United aren't moving at all that when you look at other clubs that they're making any sorts of movement, you're fuming. Liverpool, they've got, what's his face? McAllister. City look like they're on the verge of signing Kovacic. They don't exactly need signings. Arsenal making moves for Declan Rice. Nothing really advanced in that one just yet. And basically every other club is making moves and making waves. And United are just sitting here. We've made one wave, and that's Mason Mount. That's the only bid we've put in so far. I find that curious as well. Because in terms of the priority list, but I suppose that comes more down to the actual availability of individuals. Maybe that's probably why Mason Mount has kind of gone a little bit further ahead. But I'm looking at this Jurrien Timber thing, and I pulled this photo up. And I remember this video. I did this video before I went to a wedding for the weekend, because stories came out linking Martinez to Arsenal. Obviously, that was at the time when Man United were linked with him. And I just did a video, and I was like, you know what? I said, why is anybody even slightly worried about Lisandro Martinez going to Arsenal? The simple truth is that if Erik Ten Hag picks up that phone, Martinez is only going to one place. And that is exactly what happened. He even said it after. And he goes, as soon as I knew Erik wanted me, that Arsenal wasn't even a conversation in my head. I think the only reason I feel that people have a fair reason to get annoyed about Jurrien Timber, in my opinion, is this. We all want and need Harry Maguire to leave this summer, right? So therefore, we need a replacement. However, if we're looking at the list of requirements for Manchester United this summer, we're looking at striker number one, maybe a number two. I mean, there's two strikers, maybe number one, a goalkeeper. Clearly, Erik Ten Hag he wants that all-encompassing number 8 dynamic, that sort of front aggressive press player, that Mason Mount type player. So that player is also ahead of a centre-back in the priority list. And then you could probably, I think, fairly argue that a central midfielder would still be ahead of that Maguire replacement in the priority list. So by the time United get around to maybe addressing that conversation and replacing Harry Maguire, the reality is that the majority of those options are going to be gone in the market. Kim, we'll speak about him in a little bit. Jurrien Timber could have been an alternative. Let's be honest, I don't think that you would have played Martinez and Timber. Well, I swear that would be the smallest centre-back partnership in the Premier League history. But I'll tell you what, maybe it would have worked. I'm not losing my crap over this. I think Timber would be a very good signing for United. A right back, centre back, kind of a utility player. Not somebody who's definitely necessarily going to knock Rafael Varane out every single week, but there might be games where we could play with a more athletic, aggressive, higher defensive line that could suit him. But I think United fans losing their marbles over Jurrien Timber and Arsenal making a move for him is more linked to the frustrations of the takeover than it is to do with Jurrien Timber being the perfect signing for Manchester United. As much as I do think he would be a good signing, he's quite far down the priority list. A new centre-back is quite far down the priority list. So I think even Kim would be quite far down that priority list. Victor, you're saying Timber is gone. Let's move on. Gone. Arsenal have only made a £30 million move for him. If we and the same thing still exists. Absolutely the same thing still exists. If Erik Ten Hag wants Jurrien Timber, picks up the phone, Arsenal, you're going to miss out on another player from Ajax. Simple as that. He'll come to Manchester United. Probably clip me up there because whether that's right or wrong, maybe it's changed since last year. I don't really think it does. Erik Ten Hag commands a lot of respect from his former players and has very tight relationships with all of them. Maybe not all of them, a lot of them. So I think that Jurrien Timber, if Erik Ten Hag wanted him, we'd go in for him. But he's pretty far down that priority list. I can see down there that the main man himself, Siam, how you doing, buddy? You ledge. You're wearing braces in your photo as well. Like suit braces. Bing. What ledge? Hero. Jeez. Got a massive thunderstorm here earlier, by the way. It's nice and cool. Mapuya, you're saying, isn't Kim 99% for Bayern Munich already? I'll be speaking about Kim a little bit later in the show, but there are a couple more players that we need to speak about. First of all, we'll speak about Victor Osimhen. The conversation around Osimhen was pretty dead early this summer, wasn't it? As soon as Napoli put that unrealistic price tag on him, in the same way that Dortmund did with Sancho in that summer, they didn't want to sell him. They're not going to sell him unless somebody comes in with an exorbitant bid, which isn't going to happen for Manchester United. We're not, I suppose we kind of are penny pinching this summer. We don't have like an endless barrel of cash. We know what our budget is without any sales. It's somewhere between 100 and 150 million. The way this is looking, I'll tell you what, I'm going to be doing I've done my perfect summer transfer window video, and I'll go back and sort of look at that toward the end and then compare what happened to that perfect one. I've done what I feel would be Ten Hag's perfect window. And what I'm going to do today is take a look at what I feel is shaping up to be maybe a realistic window. How would Manchester United line up if we have Hojlund in attack, we have Mason Mount, and we have a new goalkeeper? Where would the weaknesses still be in that team? Where would the strengths be, etc.? I'm going to do that as my lunchtime video today. But I don't think that Victor Osimhen is part of the conversation. I'm not sure he ever was part of the conversation. As soon as the season ended and Napoli made it abundantly clear the position, hey, my buzzword there, abundantly clear the position they were taking, no one's really spoken about him. Not even Bayern Munich. They need a striker as well. Vivek, you joined as a member, man. Let me know where you're watching from. Matt Frost, you're saying right back's a weakness. Well, I'll run through all of those in that video today. Jordan, how you doing, buddy? Thank you very much, Super Chat. You're saying even the members inside United are angry at the takeover. We need players, not the dumb glazers. Well, there's a lot of things our club needs. New players is one of them. New stadium is another. New training ground is another. Owners that actually give a toss about the community, about the club. They actually want to be active owners and not just these dudes who live in Florida and deal with the club from there. That's so stupid when you think about it, man. Your chairman is on a time zone that's, what is it? It's 5 hours in Florida, 5 hours behind. So you're there ready to work at 9 in the morning. Oh, yeah, Joel's in bed. It's not going to be up for 5 hours. So you can't actually get sign off on anything until what? 2, 3 in the afternoon? Strange. Very strange. Let's go and read a few of your comments out down here. Like I said, as long as the Glazers delay the takeover, no transfers are incoming, says Chris. And I think that's a feeling that I think we're all starting to get. Mason Mount, I feel that United can probably do transfers up to the tune of 100 million in total without a takeover really happening. I think that's why the Mason Mount bid kind of made sense. 50 mil, max 50 mil, easy done. Then we're going to have a spare 50 mil. And I'm going to go on to speak about a goalkeeper because I get the sneaky feeling that's probably where it's going to be going next rather than a striker. And that's probably because of this, right? United have had direct exchanges with Hojlund. Personal terms are not a problem. Mate, Hojlund wants to be a Manchester United player. That's an important aspect in all of this. In any transfer, I always say that's quite a fundamental part of it. Angel Di Maria, the perfect example of a great player who just didn't want to play for Manchester United. And his heart was never in it from day one. Hojlund wants it. However, and I'll run through this article in a bit more detail. This is from James Ducker later on, but you can see down here, this. Victor Osimhen's 100 million plus valuation is another stumbling block, and Atalanta are thought to have slapped a price tag of at least 80 million on Rasmus Hojlund. And that right there, ladies and gents, is why we've not signed Rasmus Hojlund. Atalanta are playing the game. And everybody from now on will play the game. That's the consequence of this. That's the consequence of allowing the Public Investment Fund to buy Newcastle, allowing Abu Dhabi to buy City. That's what football is now. And it has turned into a millionaire's game. Man, football is the working class man's sport. That's where it was born from. And you're down here, you're saying this about Thuram. You're saying why? I think we've mentioned it quite a few times here, haven't we? I don't really understand why no one's going after Marcus Thuram. Free agent, probably one of the best free agents on the market. Not a peep. Not even from Bayern Munich, who, of course, are kind of desperate for a striker. They're even getting linked with Füllkrug. You know, that big old striker that scored for Germany at the World Cup. They're getting it with everybody. Let me see what you're down there. Working class game disappeared with the Premier League and Sky. That was the beginning of it, Jonathan. We're just seeing the escalation and I suppose the elevation. The V2 of it, if you want to call it that. V2 of the Premier League includes Saudi Arabia doing backhanded payments through investment funds to. I mean, where does it stop? How do you manage it? Because millionaires are clever. They'll just hide it through subsidiary businesses, and it's going to be so hard to chase the trail of money. Makes me want to watch Ozark again. Anybody watched Ozark? Man, that was a good series. What are you saying down here? Lyle, you're saying, as it's going, Ten Hag will have to rally the team he's got to battle hard to stay in the fight so that Sheikh Jassim can have a proper summer. I think we might be in for a tough first half of the season. Of course, the first game kicks off on the 12th of August. Less than 2 months. Plenty of time to get a lot done. But United's lack of movement is concerning. And in my opinion, directly linked to the takeover. Siam, you're saying football is a monopoly game right now. Yeah, and Saudi Arabia are the banker, and they're cheating. And they're just putting as much money as they want in as many different places as they want. And y'all can't do nothing about it. Josh, you're down there saying Chelsea just confirmed Nkunku. Sad times. What are going on down here? That's already been covered down there. Why is that coming out now? Man, that's old news. Very old news. Let me. I don't need to pull that up. Look, Chelsea just signed Nkunku. Buggers. Look, you want to talk about something that I consider significant. I got so much stick for my videos I did on De Gea this season. I think it's because I have an ability as a fan. Maybe some fans don't. I don't know. Maybe it's because of the platform that we've got. But I have an ability to step back and sort of remove emotion from a decision and empathy from a decision, which, managers in general, people don't like managing. I'm talking about football managers. I'm just talking management in general is difficult because you're going to have to make decisions that will piss people off, decisions that will make people angry. And that's what separates a manager from a standard worker, the ability to do that and manage individuals too. And looking at this De Gea situation, it just became untenable as the season went on. And it only got worse and worse. And I went as far as to say that De Gea and Maguire both have to be sold this summer. Now, I think if Manchester United, I've gone on record to say this as well. I think if Manchester United were able to sign Harry Kane this summer, then a new goalkeeper, it wouldn't be a conversation that we would be having in any way, shape, or form. But because we can't get Harry Kane, Erik ten Hag is going to have to look for a cheaper striker. Now, that might be Rasmus Hojlund. At that price, you may as well be looking at Kolo Muani. Let's find out. But replacing De Gea now, this summer, looks likely. And I, for one, am so happy. I really, really am. And De Gea has been brilliant for us, man. He has been brilliant for us. But I say that in the past tense. De Gea is not the goalkeeper to take this Ten Hag, because this is a brand new team. This Ten Hag United team will be remembered for playing football differently, for doing things differently to what happened before under Mourinho, Ole, Van Gaal, Moyes, and Fergie. My God, he's been here a long time. De Gea. Brilliant, but it's not going to work anymore. And that's, as sad as it is, it's just the truth. Now, I made that my opinion on that very clear during the season, and I got slated for it. I got slated for the Ronaldo situation, and it wasn't a witch hunt. It wasn't an agenda. It was just I can see what's going wrong with my team, and I give a toss about it. So I'm going to mention it because I want other people to be able to see that as well. It's not pushing an agenda. It's pushing what I genuinely feel is the case. And now we've reached a point where we're having conversations around these two goalkeepers. And we've already done this poll here on this channel. But I'm going to do my lunchtime video today. We'll take a look at the strengths of Onana and Costa. I won't weigh them up directly against each other yet. I think that can be a video unto itself. But both of them would be significant upgrades on De Gea in terms of the weaknesses of his game and where Ten Hag is taking this team. On Mobile, you're saying, Sam, I heard Gonzalo Ramos' price went down. I imagine that's exactly what's happened because Benfica would have wanted this summer to be another, what's his name? Can't remember his name anymore. Darwin Núñez situation where they thought that there was going to be multiple clubs going after him. They could get the bidding war. Yeah, great. Ooh, loads of money. No one's really sniffing around Gonzalo Ramos. He had a really weak second half of the season after the World Cup. No one's really talking about him. It's all about Victor Osimhen. It's all about Harry Kane. They're the two big names in terms of strikers in Europe this summer. So maybe Gonzalo Ramos does get involved in that conversation again. And if we're talking 70, 80 million for Rasmus Hojlund, who's 20, by the way, nowhere near 70, 80 million in value yet. That's Atalanta putting a price tag. And this is what happens in modern football as well. Teams don't sell players according to how much they're worth now. They sell that player with a bit of an add-on for what he might be worth in a few years' time. It's kind of like you selling a house before it's got the extension done, but you want that price with the extension done. It's kind of what the Glazers are doing now with the club. We know it's worth this amount, but we know if you invest in it properly, it's going to be worth that much. So we want a slice of that pie. Everyone's just getting greedy because there's so much money in football now. Everybody is greedy. Everyone. Jibak. Football's becoming a franchise sport regardless of regulations. Don't like US sports because of that model, and now football's going down that route. It won't ever go down that route of in the same concept as franchises in America. That's why I did a tweet the other week talking about how American owners are a poison in the Premier League. And I got slated for, you're xenophobic, X, Y. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, man, what are you talking about, man? Just the American sports model is based on franchises. They can take the Oakland Raiders and move them to Las Vegas because it's got a shiny new stadium. Fans don't care if you're pissed off. You can now spend hours coming to watch your home team instead of where we were before because we can make more money out of it. That will never happen in England. Never, ever will that happen. I'm not worried about the fact, but what I am worried about is they're becoming so many. I think once you reach a certain amount of American owners in the Premier League, they could not gang up, but they could I don't know, work in unison and start asking for rule changes to the Premier League. And maybe they can try and move Aston Villa to the outskirts of London because it will make more money. Something like that. I don't think it ever would, but it's bad. Ahmed, what are you saying, sir? Thank you very much, Super Chat. Atalanta's clearly taken advantage of the lack of elite strikers available for a transfer, charging exorbitant money for an unproven prospect because they know we are desperate. They are taking advantage of a situation. It's exactly what they're doing. They're being greedy. They want a slice of that pie. Right? And with these two, I want a slice of somebody's pie. Onana, Erik Ten Hag's worked with him before at Ajax. Of course he has. He knows Ten Hag's system. 27, plenty of years ahead of him. Would be a great signing. Diogo Costa, only 23. You could argue he's already in the elite sort of conversation around goalkeepers. Wasn't incredible at the World Cup, but his stock is very, very high. I think both of them would cost somewhere in the 50 to 60 region. Does Diogo Costa have a release clause? I think I've heard that. But I'm so excited. As much as I think there is a real negativity to us missing out on Harry Kane, right? There is a real negativity to that. The silver lining of Man United letting De Gea go and bringing in a world-class goalkeeper that fits Ten Hag's system. I do not think there are some United fans, but not every United fan really truly understands how much of a difference this is going to make to this team. When you watch United last year, under Ten Hag, even at our peak, even in that 4 to 6 week period that ended with the League Cup win over Newcastle, we kind of were a transition team. We were playing quickly through the lines, hitting with ridiculous pace. We were being clinical. We were pressing from the front. It was great. We never had that build-up from the back. You can probably count on one hand the amount of times this season in a big game where Manchester United simply held possession in our own half for like a minute. Just passing it around, knock, one touch, pass, move, break the press, easy. Back to the keeper, little dink over the top, 1-2, easy, simple. We never do that, ever. Because of that, games are at 1,000,000 miles an hour. It worked to certain degrees last year, but it's going to make such a difference to this team. So much so that I was almost, as much as I do feel a new striker is the absolute number one priority, for me, a goalkeeper is a close second. So that's why I'm excited about the idea of De Gea getting the send-off he deserves. And he deserves a testimonial. He deserves a wonderful send-off and for the club to make a lot of noise about it. But he deserves to be sent off. He hasn't done enough to become Manchester United's number one anymore. We shouldn't be paying him 200 grand a week to sit on the bench. I think we should be letting him go. And if we get one of these two lads in, look, it looks like we're not going to get Bart Verbruggen. That was the young keeper. At the time, the conversation around Verbruggen was because we didn't have enough money to sign somebody like Costa or Onana because we were going after Harry Kane. However, now that conversation's changed, we're not really going after Bart Verbruggen. It looks like Sanchez is going to be leaving Brighton, and Steele, that goalkeeper who came in, played against us, was very good, actually. Verbruggen and Steele are going to be the two goalkeepers at Brighton now, and Sanchez is going to leave. But that doesn't really matter for Manchester United now, because we're looking at the level up. Verbruggen was a second choice. Verbruggen was somebody you can go in and say, well, you know what? He could develop into a great goalkeeper, But let's see what goes on. And Brighton have probably got another great player on their hands there. It's going to be signed for somebody, by somebody else for double the money in a couple of years' time. But we're looking at the ready-mades. Onana and Costa are the two absolute top choices for that. This deserves a video unto itself, which I will do. Look, Nottingham Forest and Dean Henderson, this is going to be a big one. We're looking at somewhere in the region of 20 to 30 million for Dean Henderson. Good money, good return, good move for him. That really is an everyone wins situation. Richard, you're saying, sorry, Sam, is it official that De Gea is leaving? No, it's absolutely not official. There could be a situation that turns around in a day, in a week's time, stop knows when it says De Gea, Manchester United have agreed a new contract and we've got an announcement. However, at this point, it feels unlikely for me. And yesterday, I believe it was Fabrizio Romano said that the reason that De Gea hasn't signed that new contract now is not because De Gea is concerned about it. It's because Manchester United are reserving judgment. Man United are stopping that contract from being signed because we're looking around. Unfortunately, I can't really see this when I think about it here. Can you really see this one being done quickly? I suppose you can't really see anything being done quickly. And that all comes back to this. Like Gary Neville's spot on here. Oh, that's Harry Kane. Gary Neville's spot on here about him being embarrassing. Like you remember all those years that we had to, and this really exhausted me. This really tired me out. Having to argue against those who didn't really see too much of a problem with the Glazers because they spent money. Oh, you spent over $1 billion in the last X amount of years. How can you possibly complain about your owners? And you kind of just had to and bang your head against a brick wall and repeat and repeat and repeat. And there were so many like Glazer apologists. This could have and should have been a clean exit. But it's far from that, man. It's murky, it's dirty, and it's still not done. And as I said, that even the Glazers have even managed to make the Glazers leaving a prospect which has had the excitement like sucked from it. The excitement has just been replaced, and everyone's just sitting there like gasping for water now. Like you don't know what to think anymore. Man, it is painful, but I'll tell you what, when it actually, maybe that's going to make the party even wilder when it actually happens, like a proper screw you and goodbye. Let me see what you're saying down here in the comments. Keylor Navas from PSG. That's a random one. That would be a low ball. Man United don't need to look anywhere apart from Costa and Onana. Anywhere. There's two ridiculously good choices there. Make your choice from those two. We don't really need to have a conversation about anybody else. Ross, you're saying I'd be happy to spend our pre-sale budget on a goalkeeper and a centre forward. It feels like the centre forward situation is getting delayed because of demands. I think we're more likely to sign Mount and a goalkeeper with our budget, and for the striker situation, probably to take a little bit longer than we would want this summer, which of course leaves Bayern Munich with the opportunity to come in and swoop for a striker. It kind of look at that for a segue. This deserves a like on the video for that segue, because that was completely accidental. Didn't even write that one down. Segue into Bayern Munich swooping in and stealing Kim. We'll speak about that in a second. What I will say here, what is it? We're 45 minutes into the show, and I haven't mentioned it once because I'm absolutely abysmal. I get distracted by the 400 things. If you would like, raffle this month is the best and the biggest so far. 50-inch 4K Samsung TV and a Bose soundbar. Legitimately, I would like this as a prize. So, if Sam Popeless wins the prize, it's got no relation to me. I'm not going to do that. But yeah, if you'd like to, tickets are only £1. The raffle closes in 10 days' time. I'm going to be drawing the winner then after that. And you want to be involved in that bad boy. So here we go. Let's speak about this man here, Kim. I found this bit quite interesting from Fabrice Hawkins from RMC Sports, speaking about the conversation of money, saying that the salary that's going to be proposed to Kim Min-jae is actually 17 million gross. Now, that's gross, not net, which so many people managed to point out to me yesterday on Twitter. All the rumors linking Kim to Manchester United reported that the salary would be in the region of 9 million euros. Again, I don't know whether that's because of gross and net. But look at that agent commission, right? Jeez. 15 mil. It's like a player. So signing Kim wouldn't just be 47. It'll be 47 plus 15. So that's 62 million. So that's increased that significantly. Obviously, quite a lot more for the wages. And if we're being totally honest, where is a right-sided centre-back on our priority list? I think timing is not helping Manchester United. And that's why this is such an issue, right? That's why that is such an issue for Manchester United, because by the time that we get round to probably wanting a right centre-back, I don't think there will be a right centre-back for Manchester United to sign that's going to be the right value and the right... look, you can still talk about Axel Disasi from Monaco. You can talk about Todibo from Nice. Imagine that Sheikh Jassim wins and then we try... Imagine Sheikh Jassim wins and then we go and try and sign a player from Nice. I think, just Spidey sense is tingling here. I think that Jim Ratcliffe might put a stopper to that. Just thinking. But the Kim situation, I think he would have been a perfect signing for us. I really genuinely do. I would be annoyed that we're missing out on him, but it's not a surprise given what's happening this summer. And there's going to be quite a few frustrations. The Jurrien Timber one, I think, is a little bit sort of kind of get offended for the sake of getting offended. I think he could be a good signing for Manchester United. But again, if I'm looking at where he plays, it's just far down that list. I think he'd be a pretty damn good signing for Arsenal as well. And it would be quite a shame to see him do well there. Aaron's saying, would you take Tomori from Milan? Mate, Tomori is a great player. It's not a case of taking Tomori. He would be an outstanding player, but he would be a very, very expensive player. Everfemi, you're saying, do we really need a right centre-back? When Harry Maguire leaves, we do need a right centre-back. You need 2 players in each position. World-class teams have 2 world-class players in every single position. That's what we need. I'm Batman. How you doing, I'm Batman? Don't you think FFP should be applied to teams asking ridiculous amounts for players? I'm sure they're going to bring out new rules for FFP. Like the Chelsea loophole of the 8-year contracts has been closed because they found a way around FFP. This, getting the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia to inject big funds into Chelsea vicariously through their relationship with Clear Lake Capital to sign players to the Saudi League at overinflated prices is another way around the rules. Is another loophole that will be closed. But that's what happens, man. Like these clubs, these billionaires, these state, that they have no interest in following the rules. If you close one door, they'll pay ridiculously good lawyers to work full time on finding another open door. And it will just be an endless rabbit chase of finding a door that they can go through, use the loophole for a bit. Balls, found us. Close that one. All right, lads, let's move somewhere else. Let's see if there's another loophole we can go through. Here we go. We got this for a week, for a year. Nice. Shot it. They closed that as well. Right, here you go. Let's find another one. It's just going to be a big chase, a big constant chase that they'll never be able, that the Premier League will never be able to win. The FFP will never be able to win. Welcome to football. This is what it's going to be from now on. And that was always such a big part of why I was against any sort of Qatari bid. And why part of me will always be against it for that reason. And then people will try and drag me down into other conversations, which it just is not the case. And that's why I don't speak about my opinion on the takeover anymore, on my preferred bid. I will always point people back to that video that I did. That's the only time I'm going to speak. Well, same actual true opinion, but that's what football is. But look, let's speak about some big news yesterday, right? And some big, in my opinion, good news yesterday. Fabrizio Romano confirming that Man United were on the verge of reaching, finally, an agreement with Marcus Rashford over a new contract. Remember, I believe he's not a free agent this summer. Is he a free agent next summer? Don't know. He's going into the last year of his contract. Man United are on the verge of reaching an agreement. So let's read through James Ducker's article here on this, and let's see what he's saying. Let's see if there's any more information on this. All right, here we go. Marcus Rashford is close to signing a new contract with Manchester United. Discussions over a lucrative new deal are understood to be at an advanced stage. There's confidence on both sides that a deal will be wrapped up soon and potentially before United return for the start of pre-season. I don't know when that is, actually. When's the first pre-season game? Man, we have not got long before there's football again. I'm tired. First game is on the 12th of July. So you're going to presume that players will come in maybe a week before-ish. So maybe the 5th of July, which would be in 2 weeks' time. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 2. No, I don't know. Maybe they don't come in a week before the first game, but it's nay long. What's your reaction and opinion to this? Right? I've obviously seen the reports that came out yesterday. Okay. I've seen the reports that came out yesterday. These are just, I don't even know where these reports came from. Saying that he's going to be one of the top earners at the club, more towards a 375 grand a week. Now, of course, that top earner is David De Gea right now, and Manchester United. That contract won't exist much longer. He will not be the top earner at Manchester United. I think it might end up being, is it Jadon Sancho? Who will be the top earner at Manchester? Actually, it'll probably be Casemiro. I think Jadon Sancho is pretty close. But I think the top earners at United are going to be around about 250 to 300 grand. There's going to be a ton of people that say, Marcus Rashford doesn't deserve it. And you're saying, I love Marcus, but the money being reported as City. What happened to the salary restructuring? I mean, who is it that came out with that story? Wasn't it? There was a suggestion that Manchester United's salaries wouldn't go above a certain limit. And on the one hand, you're like, oh, great, it's going to be United getting in control of it. And on the other hand, you're like, well, that's going to rule out you signing pretty much the top 10% of players in world football. I love Marcus, man. 350 grand would be a lot of money. Remember at the time, we all felt that De Gea was worth. Did we all think De Gea was worth it at the time? I don't think it was like a universal thing, right? I don't think it was a universal thing. But I don't know what to think about Rashford getting that much. But as I said, I don't want to focus on it. I just focused on it for the last minute and a half. I realize that. I don't want to focus on it anymore until we've got a bit more clarity. I'm just excited and happy at the fact at this moment in time, we know that Marcus Rashford is close to agreeing a new contract. Let's argue about the money a little bit further down the line. But what I would absolutely, the expectations on Marcus Rashford, as soon as pen go to paper on a contract that big, flip. They absolutely flip on their head and change. Marcus Rashford last season, what was it he got? Somewhere like about 40, 41 goal contributions in terms of goals and assists. That's going to be his new marker. That's what Rashford's going to have to deliver every single season. And if he delivers that every single season, there will not be one person who, with a peep about how much he's on, nobody would say a thing. But the expectations of delivering that would be more intense. The scrutiny comes with a contract that big. And that's something that Marcus Rashford would have to deal with. And it wouldn't be unreasonable for the expectations to increase, right? That's what I think. But I'm just happy at the idea that Marcus Rashford is going to be staying at the club. Because I love the bloke. And he was so good last season. A conversation that's still kind of going around in the background quietly is Adrien Rabiot. You can see, of course, that he's on that board down there in the could happen pile. I might have to take off Kim at some point soon. Hojlund's still down there. Harry Kane's been ruled out. I'm going to put Jan Sommer in the space because there's not 2 Kylian Mbappes now. But yeah, Adrien Rabiot, I think, is a conversation that is that we're probably going to be having a little bit later. It strikes me that by the time we get to the point where we need by the time we reach signing a central midfielder, I don't know whether we're going to have any money left this summer. As sad as it is, timing-wise, Rice and Caicedo both being available in the same summer, it's bad timing because I don't think we're going to get either of them, right? Let me see what else is being said down here. All right, everybody fire in your comments. Last couple of minutes of the show, you know what to do. If you can, just drop a like on the video, all right? Let me see what's being said down here. See if I've missed anything else. And Kunku's a good signing for Chelsea. Let's not lie. But Kai Havertz, by the way, to Arsenal, I find very strange. There's an update here. Fabrizio Romano, understand Arsenal are advancing in talks to sign Romeo Lavia. Negotiations ongoing. Southampton want a record fee for him. I had him down as in my dream signings this summer. Just thought of a player of his age and his quality already. Geez, like how good could he be in a couple of years' time, especially learning from Casemiro? That would be a big, big signing if it happened, but it's not happened, all right? It's absolutely not happened. And I don't think we're going to be getting him. Everybody, how much is that? Anybody know in the comments what the record fee for Southampton currently is in terms of players they've sold? What is it? I'm trying to think of players they've sold for a lot of money. This is a good pub quiz question. What would that be? Theo Walcott? He couldn't have gone for that much. I don't know. Van Dijk did it? It's got to be Van Dijk, doesn't it? Was it Van Dijk? He joined them from Liverpool, didn't he? Joins Liverpool. $70 million. Oh, that's made me laugh. That has made me laugh. Yeah, you're right. It's Van Dijk. Southampton want a record fee for Lavia. Woohoo! See ya. Imagine they actually want. Oh yeah, all right. How you doing, Arsenal? Yeah. Right. Yeah, we'll sell him. Yeah, for 80 million. Okie dokie. Anyway, they're not going to get a record fee then. That's a good quizzing there from everyone in the comments. Siam, how you saying? He's saying as of right now, any signing will be a dub. Got to take it for one step at a time. Nah, we do, man. We do. Jordan, you're saying there's talks that Mbappe's rejected Madrid, dude. What? No. I encourage everybody to stop wasting your time looking at Mbappe. Stop it. You're only hurting yourself. All right? You're only hurting yourself. Matt Frost, the man who asks about 15 different random questions every single stream on Facebook to try and catch me out. My ears are fine. Thank you very much. They've improved. But look, let's wrap this show up. I'm going to work on my lunchtime video, which I said today. I've done my video on my perfect summer transfer window. I've done my video on what I think would be Ten Hag's perfect summer transfer window. I'm going to do another one today on, okay, now that we're sort of getting into the transfer window and we can see what feels realistic and what isn't realistic, I'm going to do a video on that. And you're saying that I would politely ask you, Matt, please stop doing them. All right. Because it's not particularly funny and it does catch me out and it ruins the flow. And I'm trying to do a show for everybody. As much as you're having a little bit of fun with these random questions, I would ask you, please stop doing them. All right. Ryo, how you doing down there? You sent a super chat, dude, but you haven't written anything. Chandler, you're expecting an announcement today. I hope we would. I would. Shit. I can't give you a date anymore. I can't give you a time anymore. I wish that I wasn't sort of feeling the hysteria anymore, but I'm fully swept up in said hysteria. It's caught me. I'm sure it's caught all of us. But when it does happen, we are having a drink here on United People's TV. Make sure you drop a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new. just hit the hour mark. I'm going to go now work on the lunchtime video because work never stops. Take it easy, everybody.